Are you kidding me? Ubisoft CEO Yves Guillemot confirmed that by delaying the game from November to February, that they are spending an extra 20 million euros. 20 million euros added to the production budget of this game. That is absolutely insane. I wrote this up over at thatparkplace.com. You can find the link in the description below. You can also find a link to join the channel here and become a member and help support me as we fight back against woke ideology that is infecting our video games, movies, and television and society at large. But let's get to this right here. So Ubisoft announced back in September that it would be delaying the game to February 14th. It wrote in a press release, Assassin's Creed Shadows will now be released on 14 February 2025. As for why, the company explained, while the game is feature complete, the learnings from the Star Wars Outlaws release led us to provide additional time to further polish the title. This will enable the biggest entry in the franchise to fully deliver on its ambition, notably by fulfilling the promise of our dual protagonist adventure, with Naui and Yasuke bringing two very different gameplay styles. Furthermore, the company revealed this. We are departing from the traditional season pass model. All players will be able to enjoy the game at the same time on February 14, and those who pre-order the game will be granted the first expansion for free. The game will mark the return of our new releases on Steam day one, the company concluded. We also had an official post to the company's X account where Ubisoft's Mark Alexis Cote shared this. Assassin's Creed Shadows is a dream project for us, finally bringing the series to feudal Japan with many features developed with our community in mind, such as parkour or renewed stealth, brought by new technology, all set in a beautiful and immersive world. This is an ambitious addition to the franchise, a rich experience that can be lived through the eyes of two unique protagonists. But we realize we need more time to polish and refine the experience, pushing further some of our key features. As such, we've made the decision to postpone the release date to February 14, 2025. The game will release on a broad range of platforms, including Steam at launch. Additionally, pre-orders will be refunded, and all future pre-orders will be granted the first expansion for free. We understand this decision will come as disappointing news, especially to those who've been waiting patiently for an Assassin's Creed game inspired by feudal Japan, but we sincerely believe this is in the best interest of the game and ultimately your experience as a player. Rest assured, we are looking forward to the moment you will embark on a memorable adventure with Naui and Yasuke. Until then, we thank you for your ongoing support. So, in the company's first half 2024-2025 earnings figures conference call, Guillemot was asked by a BMO investor. On Assassin's Creed Shadows, you guys said you delayed the game. You keep saying it was feature ready. So I'm curious, when you went through and looked back at the game, were you guys finding bugs? Looking back, were you glad you moved it? And I think you talked about an extra 20 million euros in development costs from doing this. How is that tracking? This is how he responded. On Assassin's Creed Shadows, what we had said was that on the back of what we saw with Outlaws, we need to really make sure that we come with an impeccable player experience. Of course, there are always some bugs, but we've been focusing and continue focusing on making sure that the day one experience will be well optimized. So he's basically just repeating the talking points that they issued back in September. He then confirmed the 20 million euro extra. And yes, you are right. We had mentioned that would translate into about 20 million euros in the total budget, as we've kept a strong level of resources on this last phase of development and polishing. Interesting here that he's saying he's describing it as development now, right? It's not just polishing and bug fixes. They're actually doing development. And at the cost of 20 million euros, I think so. I would think so, that you're still developing this game. You are not just polishing it. It is not feature ready, whatever that line that they are using there. So I think this confirms that they're making significant changes to the characters and the game's story, 100%. So obviously you can say feature ready. That's a great way of saying, like, oh, the parkour, the assassination techniques, the combat, all that, those gameplay mechanics, those are all good to go. But I think they are definitely making significant changes to the characters and the game stories. And we've heard rumors that this was indeed happening. Tom Henderson at Insider Gaming claimed that the polishing of the game includes changing some of Yasuke's story and how he's portrayed in the game, fixing architectural details, and ensuring that the game is historically grounded while fitting into the Assassin's Creed universe. He added that the game is currently not at the stage it needs to be for release, and I'm told that there have been some tweaks to some gameplay mechanics and elements that are going to take time to incorporate. So he's actually saying that they were actually changing some of the gameplay mechanics and elements as well. So this whole idea that it is feature ready seems to be bogus. And Guillemot saying here that they are developing it still. This last phase of development, I think, seems to kind of give that away. And then Henderson went on to say that he also shared that Ubisoft was not as dedicated to historical accuracy as multiple developers have claimed throughout the press. We've heard them all talk about, oh, we're so dedicated to historical accuracy. Well, Henderson said this, that historical experts were brought onto the project much later than usual for a project of this magnitude, and that miscommunication between teams and cutting corners when it came to the approval process of assets to meet deadlines resulted in many of the historical and cultural concerns that have been raised by gamers. Not going to recount all of them. Obviously covered that in numerous videos in the past, from the stealing of the banner to the architecture that is from China, not from Japan, etc. There is so much to go over there. So we're not going to cover that in this video. Like I said, covered it in previous videos. Henderson then indicated that Ubisoft management had ignored their own developers who had been calling for a delay. He said 7 developers working on the project said that they have been pushing for a delay for some time, and their situation had even been heard at other studios in the company, but obviously Ubisoft had been ignoring them. So it wasn't just Tom Henderson. We heard this from Endymion as well. He indicated Ubisoft was planning to make changes to Yasuke. From his insider, he shared this. One of the things for sure getting removed from Shadows, according to my sources, is indeed the rap hip-hop music for Yasuke. Apparently, Ubisoft brought out a questionnaire, and they were unanimously told that the rap music was totally wrong and completely unneeded. Obviously, we did see them kind of get rid of that stuff in subsequent gameplay trailers and releases after that was like routinely just lampooned on YouTube. So he says, and that it was actually offensive that Ubisoft believed Yasuke needed a hip-hop battle theme in a game that was set well before such music existed, and it was only implemented because Yasuke was black. So that's going to be gone for sure, Endymion declared. He also says they were going to be removing dialogue from the game that, according to my source, told me that it would actually enrage players if they heard it. That's Endymion saying this. I wasn't given concrete examples of what kind of dialogue, but the source assumed it may have been Yasuke saying some sort of socio-political pandering nonsense about how he was sold by white men or something, and that he hates white men and white supremacy must be abolished and such. You can totally see that they included that in this game. Just look at what we're seeing with the Dragon Age Veilguard dialogue. It would not surprise me if there was something like that in Assassin's Creed Shadows, and that they, obviously, with all the backlash that they received, they were completely gutting that from the game. And 20 million euros, I think, is enough to pay for that, right? And Endymion also says they're also removing this because, of course, if that were in the game, it would absolutely be highlighted and used to detract even more people from supporting the game in the future. So I think if they're they're spending 20 million euros, they're clearly making significant changes to this game. And it's not just about polishing and bug fixes. This game was clearly not feature ready. They are making significant changes to this. Yves Guillemot basically confirming that they are spending an extra 20 million euros. And by spending that extra 20 million euros, that means they got to sell even more copies of this game. And that does not look to be on the menu. It doesn't look like it's going to be on the menu. I don't think that delaying this game is going to increase its sales. I think they're basically cutting out the Christmas crowd, the Christmas purchasers like that. I do think it's going to have some competition come February. You have Monster Hunter Wilds, etc. Ghost of Yotei is supposed to show up in 2025, although there have been rumors that it could be delayed to 2026. But I just don't see this game selling to the extent that it would have if it released in November, when it was supposed to be released just here next month. But at the same time, obviously delaying it does give them time to make a lot of these changes. And who knows, maybe if they put something out there that really does impress people, that they did make a lot of these changes, you could change sentiment around the game. I just don't see that happening, but that is a possibility that they do indeed do that. But I just don't think giving yourself 5 months gives you enough time to do that. I don't think you can make that many significant changes in that short of a time period. But those are my thoughts on this. Let me know what you guys make of this. Let me know in the comments below. Remember to always be charitable, especially to each other, and to always speak the truth.